to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf, and I'm here today, as always, with Dustin Jackson. How's it going?
Hey, guilty as charged of being great.
Yeah, you're great.
On account of the court.
Yeah, that's very psychologically healthy of you to reaffirm your own greatness. I think that it's good.
Thanks. I'll do it from now on.
Speaking of guilty, it's interesting that you frame it in that way, because this week we've decided, and by we I mean I, and by decided I mean I'm springing you on this right now. This information is new. Tales of Monkey Island Episode 4, The Trial and Execution of Guybrush Threepwood. I keep wanting to say of one Guybrush Threepwood. Where's that come from?
I don't know. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people do that sometimes when they want to seem like the thing they're talking about is fancier, like
big and grandiose.
Execution of one
Guybrush Threepwood.
Yeah. It was released on.
We were on the same wavelength. We were doing like the same voice.
Yeah, we should have those guys talk to each other later. It was released on October 30th, 2009. That's about 13 years ago. Directed by Mike Stemmel and designed just by the whole gang.
The gang's all here.
The gang's all here up in the design of this one. I think that I really like the idea that everyone at Telltale at the time was just like, I gotta get my hand on this ball. I want to say I worked on a Monkey Island.
Yeah, I mean, who can blame him? I would want that. I'd throw my pants off to work on a Monkey Island.
I'd throw my shirt off. I'd throw any body part. Body part, clothing part. Article of clothing. I'd throw a body
followed
part.
By the other.
Hey, let's just say I'd throw a hand. Throw some hands. Throwing some bows.
Let's give him
to
a
get in
hand.
There. This one's about a court case.
Yes.
And that's fine.
We don't even have to play Law and Order now.
Yeah.
We already did.
Now we don't have to do it. I wonder if our small but vocal audience would support us saying that we just don't have to do it.
Well, they might not have a choice.
Yeah, because we were talking for the longest time, like, hey, we just don't know how to play Law and Order. It's like a very dead game, very hard to get a hold of, even for yo-ho internet activity. It's very difficult to play Law and Order Legacies. If we just didn't, this would be a pretty bad podcast. Imagine it like leads to the end and we're like, okay, we got one more game, but we don't want to do it, so we're just done.
So we're just not gonna.
Yeah, we waste like literally 2 years, get to the space right before the end, and just say no. I don't really feel like doing that.
Yeah, well, the worst part is we might not have any say in the matter.
That's
might
true.
Just not be able to play it.
Yeah, you know what? I was really hoping that this podcast is not of the kind of talking materials that really picks up steam with the whole internet verse. I get it. We're niche. We're gonna be small. We're not gonna be picking up all kinds of snowflake as in rolling, not snowflake in the way that weird political people use it. We're not gonna get that huge audience, but right. I thought we might get just big enough that someone would write into the show or one of our Twitter accounts or some such and say hey, I heard you guys complaining about Law and Order. I might have a back alley in Las Vegas that if you just come here at 3 a.m. and ask for Jeeves, he'll lead you to a room where he will put a blindfold on you, and then you'll move somewhere, and then you'll take it off, and you'll be able to play Law and Order Legacies. I thought there'd be some audience participation. I was hoping for some guy in Nebraska is I don't have much to my name, but I do have a computer with Law and Order Legacies on it.
Yeah, audience, you really let us down on this one.
It is mostly your fault, huh, audience?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Weird.
We did our best by looking for a little bit and then stopping.
we did really put our all into it. Whether or not our all is that much is up for gods debate, but
yeah, I mean, we did all we could. I don't know anything else to do.
yeah, I really don't. We tried. I downloaded something that looked pretty sketchy, and it was. So,
awesome.
So like we really gave it a shot. With all the CSI games, like those were pretty hard to figure out, but through technical know-how, the help of others, everything, it just worked out. It's just Law and Order, right? Do we have a way of doing Guardians? What's our way of doing Guardians?
Yeah, I have Guardians. You can just buy it.
Oh, the physical. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get the disc on like eBay still, and it's pretty cheap. I would have expected these games to like skyrocket, but I got Guardians and I got the 2 Minecraft seasons like for pretty cheap.
Good.
Yeah.
So this one is the one that people can buy easily, though. Tales of Monkey Island. And this is the episode that is a court case. The one we might have to go to if we ever find a way to play Law and Order Legacies. Dustin, talk to me about this episode. What are your high levels?
Okay. So when I first played through this game, this was my favorite episode of the season.
Wow, okay.
We haven't played the last one yet, so I don't want to make that call, but I'd say so far it's my favorite. I like this episode a ton. I feel like it had a fair bit to enjoy about it.
There was a lot of cool stuff in this episode, and I really like the framing of it. The first half of the episode is you've got 4 allegations against you, and you need to fight all 4 of them in court. And the way you do that is by examining witnesses and using pieces of evidence from your inventory. Pretty cool way of going about the Telltale formula, I think, or this kind of Telltale formula.
Yeah, totally. I like that this episode has like really high stakes, like all throughout.
Yeah.
You have 4 cases against you where the desired outcome is death to you for all 4.
Yeah, and there's 2 callback characters in this episode from early in the Monkey Island series. One of them is the obvious one, which is Stan. Love seeing Stan again in his incredible jacket.
You know what's interesting about Stan in this game is he has a different voice from every other time he's been portrayed.
How do you feel about that?
I actually like this voice better. I think it suits the character. Well, it's kind of hard to say because he's had that other voice for 4 games, and here he is coming in with this new voice for 1. But I do think it suits his kind of manic high energy that they give him. Before this, he sounds kind of like this. A little slimier, but a little bit more suave as well.
You know, it's interesting that all 5 Monkey Island games now have voice acting, because when this one, the 5th one, came out, I believe only 2 of them did.
Yeah.
Only Curse
1
and
and 2
Escape.
came out. Yeah, 1 and 2 came out before voice acting, and Curse and Escape are the first ones. So, what's interesting about that is Elaine had a different voice in Escape, so this would be her voice actress's second time playing the character. And I think she kills it in this episode.
Oh, she's great in this episode.
Yeah, great. I would say Guybrush does too. I think this whole season is those 2 at their best. Like, both do a great job beforehand, and they were in the remakes around the same time too, but I kind of feel like because Elaine has less of a presence in those, she doesn't really get to go as big as she does here.
Yeah, I think that all the character moments in this episode are like some of the best in the series so far.
Agreed. I thought that as well.
LeChuck is great. Voodoo Lady's great. Elaine especially is great. The judge here is great.
Yeah, everyone really brings. I like what they do with DeSinge, Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan gets really sad for a while. It's pretty good.
I thought that was great.
We all like it when Morgan gets sad.
I love that. Love those Morgan is sad moments.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I wrote in my note is this really does feel like the first time where this is going to sound like I'm really slagging off the original Monkey Islands, but this feels like the first time where the characters get to be more than jokes. Like, before this, the Monkey Island series has always been all comedy, all nonsense, and that's great, but I do really like how they're able to kind of push the characters a little more in this.
Yeah,
you see Guybrush get mad.
Characters comes out in a way that I would bet Ron Gilbert probably does not like, actually. It's a taste thing. I could imagine.
Yeah.
Monkey Island is weird because it's either a series that like is a pirate fantasy with a lot of comedy in it, or it's a comedy series with just like set dressing of pirate stuff in it, depending on who's at the helm. And it game to game never really lands on anything, and I'm sure that in return we are again going to see a comedy game with like some pirate stuff in it,
right?
Versus the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So getting
it's
this
one of those
very character filled game right now to play right before Return is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know that Ron Gilbert is the creator, but well, I can't even. I was gonna say I disagree with him, but you're the one who said he probably doesn't like it. I don't know if he doesn't.
Well,
like
yeah,
the
we don't even know.
Stuff
I'm guessing.
I can't even say I disagree with him. But personally, I think even at the time, this was the first game where I was like, oh, they do a really good job of taking a series that's like all comedy and giving you a little bit more drama, like a little more seriousness to go with it. And I think it works out really well.
I do too. I've been really into Dragon Ball lately.
Cool.
Do you want to talk about that? I've been really into
Sure.
Dragon Ball lately, and Dragon Ball is a series that very notably has the same kind of jump between like, is it a comedy or not? Constantly, where sometimes it's a fairly serious sci-fi martial arts show, and sometimes it is entirely just jokes, and there's nothing else really about it. The movie that's in theaters right now for Dragon Ball made me think about this because it is absolutely a comedy movie. Like, it's the most comedy-centric that Dragon Ball's maybe ever been. And maybe that's just what Dragon Ball kind of is now. But this version of Monkey Island that we're playing, except maybe Escape, because, again, we don't know.
Yeah, we haven't played it.
Escape could be one way or the other, but it's very. I keep saying characterful. That's not even a word. I need a better word for it. What am I trying to say? Dramatic? I guess dramatic. There's a lot to think about with the characters Guybrush and Elaine in this game, where there is usually not a lot to think about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that helps to further the performances and the characters too. This is the one time we ever see like Guybrush get like legit angry and upset with someone.
Yeah.
And he does a good job selling it. Dominic, really, you buy that Guybrush is, boy, he really is not super hot on Morgan right now.
Oh, that is not the one that I thought. Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, that makes sense. I was thinking his interaction with the voodoo lady.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Not
Stan.
just Morgan.
A lot of Guybrush's friends are really selling him out this episode.
Yeah. Which is interesting because here, LeChuck is the one who's on your side. Even Elaine is against you in this episode since she's so chock full of pox.
Yeah. Huh.
That's a very interesting way to do it. And LeChuck comes in and saves your hide.
Yeah, and then LeChuck screws with you too. Like, everyone that you've grown to trust is screwing with you. Even your wife can't like speak for you on the stand because she's so pox-addled. So it's an interesting episode narratively because as soon as you put a character on trial, you are examining them and trying to find their guilt, even if they are innocent. That's just what people do when there's a narrative about a person on trial. Mm-hmm. And they do a very interesting thing, because they could, and I think it has been established in the series that this is a thing that commonly happens, you could just come up with things that Guybrush actually did, especially things that he actually did during the course of you, the player, playing through this game. And you could have made the player like recount their experiences and think like, oh, man, should I have done that? I guess not. And that would be a very Walking Dead style thing to do, right? But they don't do that here. He truly is innocent on all counts. And it's everyone else in his life that sucks a lot. And they keep bringing him down. And, like, other people are apologizing for other people to Guybrush. And he keeps being like, it's fine, it's whatever it is. It's,
that's just how it goes on these adventures.
Until he dies. Until he gets stabbed in the chest. Oh, by the way, Guybrush Threepwood gets stabbed through the chest in this episode.
Yeah. That I really like how this episode is called The Trial and Execution of Guybrush Threepwood, and the whole time you're like, oh, well, I guess the execution is because of these trials, and then Guybrush is found innocent, and you're like, oh, I guess there was no execution. Then he does get executed.
Wow. You know what? Just from talking to you about it, Dustin, I'm actually way higher on this episode than I was, like, right after I finished playing it.
I love this episode. I think there's so much to enjoy in this episode.
I think I think there is too, but now I'm seeing it more, because I'll tell you this: my experience of playing this episode, in addition to it happening on like the hottest day in the world, and also I'm like weirdly full, and I can't figure out why I feel so full. I didn't eat that much. I'm getting full on water.
Me full.
Yeah,
no more.
Don't make fun of me. I'm full.
I'm sorry, I was being very insensitive.
Well, it's things like that made it a hard thing to play through today.
We were talking about it beforehand, but I actually played it a little differently too. I usually just play it all on the one day, but I played a little bit of it yesterday just to get a head start because I knew today was going to be busy. Yeah, I guess it didn't affect the way I thought about it at all, but I might just try to do that from now on, play like half, because this episode is split up into two halves.
Two halves and then a little button at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting. I guess that's not that different from how Telltale usually does it, but that does kind of help divide it up. You could be like, okay, well, I'll do this first half now, and then I'll move on to this next thing, and I can do the next part tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like every episode we've ever played on this podcast, but it is a good structure.
Yeah, I'm just saying I've never really done it that way. I usually just cram it all in one day, so I'm thinking I might break it up a little more going forward.
That's interesting. That's probably cool. You're probably allowed.
Yeah, want to know something else? I was going to play this on the PS3, because I forgot I bought these all on the PS3 a long, long time ago. And I decided not to. I don't know why.
All right. You're allowed to not.
I'm glad I'm allowed to do so many things today. I guess I'm not going to be sent to the brig.
Okay, so the first half that you were talking about was Morgan Le Fay brings you back to Flotsam to get paid by the Marquis Lessange. And she's clearly experiencing second thoughts about it, feels bad about it the whole time. At one point, she says, "I said I'm sorry," and then I'm trying to recount. Did she actually?
Did you?
I don't think
it might have been like off. It might have been off screen when they were like rowing to Flotsam.
Well, at that point, if you say sorry, you'd be like, well, if you felt sorry, you would turn around.
Yeah, you would maybe not.
You would not do the thing you're about to do. I think the sorry would have to come later, when she's. When she could take it back or some such.
Yeah, she really blew it.
So as soon as Guybrush arrives on the island, the Marquis is about to collect him, but then there's an angry mob that throws him into the court and announces that he's got a bunch of things that he needs to answer for. Let's see if we can list these court cases.
Okay.
So he scared a cat into paralysis.
Yeah, that was Hemlock McGee.
Yeah, none of that could have even happened a little.
Yeah, you weren't there to scare a cat.
Bosun Krebs, who you find out a little bit later, is series recurring character Kate Capsize.
Wait, no, she's not.
What? I thought that's what they were hinting at.
No, the joke was that she had a totally different Guybrush in mind. She's not Kate Capsize.
She had a totally different Guybrush in mind?
Yeah, did you not talk to her? If you talk to her in Club 41, you ask her, like, hey, are you still mad? She says, I'll never forget the name Guybrush Q Threepwood. And Guybrush is like, oh, Guybrush Q? I'm Guybrush U Threepwood. And she's like, oh, okay.
Wait, but isn't Guybrush actually Guybrush Q Threepwood?
I thought his middle name was Ulysses.
Okay, we're looking it up. Okay, I'm on the Monkey Island fandom website, and as normal, the website sucks so bad. Okay, you know what? Okay, I misread it. She is not Kate Capsize. But in talking about the things that she was mad at Guybrush for, one of them was for stealing the boat, which I was like, oh yeah, the glass bottom boat. And her name is Catherine Krebs. Catherine can be Kate. And I thought that was a good tie-in, but I guess it's just a regular not tie-in.
Yeah, I was a little confused when you brought up two characters. I was like, oh,
yeah, that was my one. Oops. I'm glad to have you here to keep me honest.
Oh, that's okay,
You're
Mitchell.
keeping me fit as a fiddle up here in the old memory banks.
Oh, you all soft serve.
I'm also seeing the page they have on Guybrush, and his middle name is Ulysses.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
Well, I'm glad that the court case went that way, because otherwise it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, because she brings up stuff that never happened. Like, she was framed for, like, it was like at a karaoke competition or something.
Well, the thing is, I don't know what happens in Escape.
Oh, that's true.
So, like, there could have been a karaoke competition. I don't know. That seems like a thing.
I will say, spoilers for Sea of Thieves, if anyone's going to play it. If it was meant to be Kate Capsize, that would make the Sea of Thieves stuff with Kate Capsize wrong. And I would like it less.
It would at least make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's so she's one of them. She is suing Guybrush for a disfiguring scar on her leg from nacho cheese.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the nacho cheese one. So that's number 2. Case number 3.
Oh wait! Before we move on to number 3, I wrote down the recommended sentences for them. So,
sure.
Which we did Hemlock and Krebs. So for Hemlock, the recommended sentence was 1 ball of yarn and death by mauling.
So just let the cat maul him. That probably would have been fine. The cat can't move.
Yeah, it's fine. That couldn't hurt too bad. And for Krebs, the recommended sentence was 23 gold fine, death by corset.
Yeah, that's interesting. I noticed that, and I was wondering if the joke was just like, so is the joke that she is one of the few women characters in this game? So,
well, when I look up death by corset, it says a 19th century book about fatal women's fashions.
Yeah, I mean, corsets can be pretty tight.
Yeah,
so...
and this one's going to kill Guybrush.
Yeah, but is this case related to corsets just because she's like the only woman character here right now?
I guess so. She's like the only female pirate.
Because these cases, the sentences are related to the crimes. You need to get the cat a yarn ball, and the cat can maul someone. And this one's just like, well, she was wearing a corset, so I guess now also you. But you don't need to wear any of the other people's clothes. So,
yeah, this is the one that will kill you.
Seems a bit sexistly particular. The next one is Doro from the first episode, which you might remember or not. He was the one that was interested in collecting the porcelain power pirates.
Yeah, he's looking a little worse for wear. He's missing an eye.
So when you gave him the fake Dark Ninja Dave, he tried to sell it on eBay, which is the bay over there that you can sell things at. And it was determined to be fake, so he got in trouble for that, so he's mad at you too.
Right, and he poked his eye with one of the swords from the figure, and that's why he don't got no eye.
Yeah, he's missing a whole eye. What's the sentence for that?
The sentence for Doro is confiscation of sextants and death by 8-sided dice.
I don't get it.
I don't either, but, right. Guybrush really talks about his sextants in this episode.
He does talk about his sextants. That's true.
I love later when he's telling Doro, he was like, you could have all my sextants if you don't testify against me. And Doro's like bringing up like the autographed ones, like, do you have one autographed by so and so? And Guybrush is like, actually, I want that one. And he's like, okay, well, can I have this one? No, actually, I need that. You know what? I better just keep them all.
The last one is Hardtack.
Yeah, Hardtack.
Who's the bailiff here?
Yeah, it's definitely the role he was meant for, and not a way to reuse a character model.
Yeah. So the Hardtack, being one of McGillicuddy's men, really has no business on this island at all.
We find out that McGillicuddy died. He says McGillicuddy died, and I guess he was fighting with the other guy, so I guess he just said, you know what, time to go my own way. I'll become a bailiff.
The freedom in being a bailiff has got to be extraordinary.
He just feels so alive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a reason they can make up why he's here, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't mind. He's fine. He gets the job done. Whatever.
He is fine, and he's my favorite one. So his problem is that he had an X, and someone dug it up and ruined his perfectly good X because it marked the spot. But Guybrush doesn't have any memory of being connected to this at all. So yeah, you can just ask him. If you ask him 3 times, hey, are you lying? He'll eventually just be like, oh, yeah.
You got me.
You got me.
I guess that's good because normally they have you do like 3 things in these Telltale puzzle little adventures. And so it's funny how here you have 4, but one of them is just super easy.
Yeah, there was even a moment in the audience of the courtroom where the judge says that there's 4 cases levied against Guybrush, and someone in the audience says, I thought there'd be 3.
They were really disappointed that there was 4.
Yeah. So what's the sentence on that?
I think his sentence is the lightest because it was first on the list, so it's just
very fake.
2 pence. Yeah, also fake. It's just a 2 pence fine and death by hanging. Nothing serious.
Oh, okay. Just 2.
One thing I really like about this whole scene is when you're able to move Guybrush around the courtroom, it puts the camera up in the balcony with all the people watching.
Yeah, that's fun.
I thought that was fun.
So you get through all those civil cases, and then the judge reveals, okay, those 4 were civil cases, but you do have the matter of 1 criminal case about spreading the pox, upon which Guybrush just kind of is guilty. So
yeah.
You gotta be... You take one on the chin. But then your bud, LeChuck, comes in and takes the blame for it.
I really love the chemistry between Guybrush and LeChuck in this episode. I like that, up until something bad happens at the end, they're, like, pretty good pals.
It's pretty fun. I like the way that as soon as LeChuck comes into the courtroom, Guybrush says, don't listen to anything he says. And then LeChuck says, it's my fault. Everything's good. And Guybrush just immediately turns around. He's finally completely bought into it. He just likes LeChuck now.
Yeah, and I mean, good on him. Guybrush, because in episode 2, Guybrush was very on the fence with LeChuck. He was like, look, I know you're human and you're helping us out, but I still don't trust you, and for good reason.
Well, LeChuck, on the fence is one thing, but he was completely not trusting LeChuck. Still.
Yeah, and I do think he's in the right to think that after everything they've gone through.
Well, it turned out, yeah.
Yeah, but here I also like that once LeChuck comes in and literally saves Guybrush's life, then Guybrush is like, wow, geez, LeChuck, you did that for me?
Well, LeChuck
we might be best friends.
Drops the truth bomb that he found the voodoo lady's journal.
Mm-hmm.
And within the journal, it explains that the voodoo lady has basically been cursing LeChuck to become addicted to voodoo from the very beginning. And the whole story of Elaine, Guybrush, and LeChuck's run-ins with each other are a result of the voodoo lady tampering with fate.
Yeah.
And that has huge implications.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that anyone was allowed to do this. This feels big. This feels bigger than, like, what Telltale is typically allowed to do to a license.
Yeah, definitely. This, not only that, but this is, like, the one time the voodoo lady is, like, plot relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a massive way.
Well, she's of normal size, but yeah, it turns out, like, the voodoo lady doesn't even try to deny this. If you ask her about it, she's like, well, being evil is about perspective. It's like, okay, well, nice.
Yeah, she says
cool.
Things are not as they seem.
Things are not as they seem because I think that I'm pretty cool.
I guess anyone would say that.
You got me dead to rights.
Even if you are 100% right about what's going on.
At one point, Guybrush just tells her, hey, stop trying to confuse me. You did the thing, right? And she basically says, yeah. So that's kind of gross. How do you feel about that?
I think it's cool in a way. On one hand, it kind of reminds me of, like, Legend of Zelda, with how Link, Zelda, and Ganon's fates are all intertwined with one another.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing with Guybrush, Elaine, and LeChuck. But I do like that it gives the voodoo lady more of a reason to be there rather than just helping you out with, like, a couple puzzles here and there.
This came out 2 years before Skyward Sword, before the...
before the big reveal of that.
Yeah, I mean, before it was kind of always known that Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf had some kismet chemistry.
Yeah, but it was before it was, like, really spelt out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, okay, so I don't know how to feel about it yet, because I'll tell you this, I don't remember what happens in the last episode.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. I remember like the big things.
I remember settings. I remember where we go, but I don't really remember how it resolves or what's revealed or characters' motivations for doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So if Voodoo Lady's thing is actually just like, oh no, you were good the whole time. I mean, that's where I kind of expected to go, where it's revealed that what she did was, bad on an individual short-term level, but probably good in the long term.
For the greater good
situation. But, like, I don't really remember, and I don't remember if they touch on her aspect on it as much as they do LeChuck's aspect. I mean, it's called Rise of the Pirate God, and the icon that they use for episode 5 and everything, I've got it on my desktop right now, is LeChuck's big old green stupid face. So he might be the pirate god.
I can't wait to get to it. I do remember some things, but that's why I'm hesitant to say this is my favorite episode overall. It was the first time we played through, but I just remember how big episode 5 is, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I remember that episode 5 was one of Dan Connor's favorite Telltale episodes of all time.
Nice.
Up with like episode 1 of The Walking Dead and episode 4 of Strong Bad.
Those are interesting picks.
Yeah, little all over the map.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool picks. I respect them. I guess those just aren't episodes I would expect. I guess I can see why someone would like Danger-esque. I just remember us talking about how, like, the puzzles are not really anything special, but just the framing and the humor were just, they killed it, that episode.
Did you catch the Dan Connor's reference in this episode?
No, I didn't. What was it?
Well, there were 2 paintings on the...
Oh, yeah, those.
Yeah, that's Dan Connors and Kevin Bruner.
Awesome. I love those paintings. I just love... Anytime we see, like, 2D artwork in this game, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really makes me wish it was 2D, but...
Yeah, I do think for what the game is, it does look pretty good in 3D. I mean, leagues better than Escape looks. To be sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, anytime like you see a painting like that, or like the chapter cards have really nice artwork, or definitely the tarot cards, the artwork on those is incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I don't think that 1080p was the complete expectation of this game when it was coming out, because it came out on the Wii and also PCs at a time where it was not assumed that every modern PC was 1080p compatible. But all the artwork upscales to like my modern computer settings really well. All the 2D artwork looks great, which is usually the opposite. It's the 2D artwork that doesn't look great because it's saved to the lower resolution, while all the 3D stuff is vectorized because of the nature of what 3D is.
I think there's one thing that doesn't really look all that good, and that's when you're in the Marquis de Sange's house and you see the projection on the wall. It did look a little blurry and hard to read, but, you know, 1 out of all the ones we've seen so far.
It looked hard to read, but also you were not really supposed to read all his fake math on the ledger and stuff. I kind of get the idea that that's stuff like, oh, he was doing some science. I see a picture of Guybrush's face. I'm good to stop looking at this. I don't need to figure out the math.
Guybrush reads everything you need to know out loud anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. So once you go through all the court cases and find yourself free, you're kind of free to walk around the island. The voodoo lady gives you a map of how to mature La Esponja Grande in order to make it grande, because it's not grande right now. It's pretty small.
It's teeny weeny.
And you got to go around and collect a bunch of things to feed it, and most of them are like weirdly gross and hard to imagine being food. And I think it's a cool second half of the episode. I think the first half of the episode is a lot stronger than the second half.
Yeah, because the second half has a lot of stuff you've kind of already done. It has another jungle puzzle. I do like this jungle puzzle better than the other ones, mainly because you have a map you can use.
I do too.
But yeah, the first half is like, you have this cool framing device, and here it's still cool. I do agree with you, I prefer the first half, but I still enjoy this half too.
The jungle puzzle makes me wonder, like, why do we love these in this game? Who's campaigning to have the jungle puzzles here?
Yeah, I was a little worried when they were like, all right, time to go into the jungle, and I was like, again, geez, but it is handled better.
When you have this many jungle puzzles, you know someone's loving the jungle puzzles on the dev team, and I just want to know who that is. What's their thought process here? Like, what do you love about them? What's your favorite thing about these jungle puzzles?
I mean, I guess the first Monkey Island had a few of these kinds of puzzles, but they weren't, like, my favorites or anything.
I believe number 2 did also. Thimbleweed Park has one as well.
I mean, they're fine. They work as puzzles.
Yeah, and the Thimbleweed Park one, I think is a much more educated approach to the idea, rather than just like, I don't know, maybe there's something cool somewhere. Who's to say?
Yeah, I like that here you can kind of, not only can you follow the map and know the path you're going down, but you can change the path.
Right. With some origami skills, you can fold the map so the pathways are different, and it works.
Yeah, that's a very fun way to do it. When I first did it, and then you kind of see the rumbling and hear it, and you're like, ooh, I did something.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm way into it.
Yeah, and it really... You're not in there for too long, so...
This time you aren't. That's true.
Yeah.
So you feed everything to the sponge, and... What were you going to say? Sorry?
Well, we can get into the thing I was going to say. Let's talk about this first.
Well, just to finish up the story, you feed everything you need to feed to the sponge. It does become big. And... Or I guess chronologically, right before that, you have the Marquis de Sange fed to like a wood chipper, which is intense.
Yeah, and it really is his own fault. He's the one who made that pulverizing device.
And it's the only way to kill him because he's been draining some voodoo from Guybrush's hand and can heal any wound almost instantly.
Yeah, we finally find out his big plans.
Yeah, he wants infinite life. He doesn't want to be killed by anything.
I think that's a good motivation. I can get wanting to live.
Yeah, I might try it.
Yeah, I might cut off someone's hand.
Yeah, if that's it.
Easy
peasy.
What's one hand for infinite life?
But he finally cures the pox.
Woo!
He gets the giant blower thing and sets it to in, and then all the pox goes into the sponge, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah, no more pox.
I think the fact, just reminiscing on the fact that it took from episode 1 to being to the end of episode 4 to finally do the thing that you were trying to do the very whole time, just get the pox in the sponge. It made it feel a lot slower to me once I was thinking about it, even though I should be taking this moment like, yeah, you finally got there. It's been one very long season of just trying to get that pox in the sponge, just put it in there. That made me, I think, a little soured on the pacing and activities of this season after I played this episode. But talking with you more about it now, I'm just liking this episode a lot more.
Yeah, I don't want to... I can't say because we haven't gotten to episode 5 yet, but when Return to Monkey Island first came out, or was first announced and shown off, I was looking at some... I forget where it was, but I was looking at some people discuss the Monkey Island series in general, and some people were playing Tales for the first time, and they ended up really enjoying it and say it just gets better and better as it goes. Like, it starts off slow.
I do think it gets better as it goes, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a pretty good sign for things to come. That's why I'm hesitant to say this is the best, but I do really enjoy this episode.
The older I've gotten, the more I've wondered if criticism is just all fake. Like the idea that you can dissect things and analyze them and determine if they're good or bad. It's not real. You just like it or you don't, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe things aren't real. Things aren't actually ever good. So you just
everything sucks.
Everything isn't much. It doesn't suck. It just isn't much. And if you can convince yourself to have an emotion, that's pretty good.
You did a good job. I actually was kind of thinking about that in previous episodes, because at least in the first two, you weren't super won over by them. And I agree with a lot of the points you made, but I still like them a lot more, and I wonder if it's just because it's everything else other than the gameplay that's doing the heavy lifting for me there. Like, a lot of my pros are stuff like the characters, the world. Even in episode 2, I liked the mer people and their whole situation. But you know, it had a lot of stuff like the lame jungle puzzle in that one. And some slow moments in those early episodes. But I even with those, I still enjoyed them a fair amount, and I really am having a good time playing this again.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. I don't want to say that I'm not, and I think it's a lot better than a lot of the Telltale point and clicks that we've played so far. But I just the way that we've been talking about it is like, oh yeah, Tales was one of the best ones, and I'm not feeling that, and I think that is maybe just an issue of expectations for me.
Right. I think I would still say it is.
Really get into it, and I'm not maybe feeling it in that way. But it is a lot better. Like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm having a bad time. I'm not. It's so much better than Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Wallace and Gromit, probably. I was going to say probably Strong Bad, but I think that might be where I differ from you. I like Strong Bad a little more, maybe. Definitely better than Bone. Definitely better than, of course, CSI.
I don't know if I would put Strong Bad over this, just because I feel like Strong Bad had more issues. Like
Strong Bad had more issues, but I think we were talking about this on a Discord server within the last week. Something I really like about Strong Bad is that it gives you a lot of reasons to get deep into the weeds of the world that feel... it feels better than a lot of like completionism feels sometimes, because it makes you want to talk to characters a lot of times and really explore all the nooks and crannies and try weird items on weird items and things like that. Where episodes like this, and I like this too, it's a good strategy, but this makes me feel like it's shuttling me from the beginning to the end because it wants me to do this in one sitting, which is probably best for game feel. But I feel like I explored a lot more in Strong Bad, and I had that adventure game feel of exploration a lot more, even though this is the game where I'd kind of like, I want to feel like I'm exploring Flotsam Island. I want to get all in there and find the lore, find the characters, see the jokes, feel like I'm just having a day with my good buddy Guybrush. But I usually can't do that because I'm just kind of going through them. We also talked about how it could just be the fact that we are doing this podcast where we are majorly benefited from trying to very hard to do every one of these games in a single sitting, just for time management issue, because we're doing one every week.
Right.
That could be fueling the way I feel about this. But it didn't happen for Strong Bad. With Strong Bad, I think you want to explore more.
Yeah, I wonder if that has something to do with, like, the more relaxed pace of Homestar Runner. Like, none of those stories are very big. They're good Strong Bad stories, but Monkey Island has more of an emphasis on that story and really pushing it forward. So I can see preferring one over the other.
Well, the first two Monkey Island games, I think, kind of don't have that as much. It does feel very sandboxy. And the adventure games that I think of as having the most feel like that are the humongous games, the Pajama Sams and Putt Putt, where the whole vibe of the game is just like, hey, you're 4 years old and probably can't read. Let's just hang out.
Let's just chill.
Let's just chill, man. What's Pajama Sam even gonna do this time? Up to you, bud.
You could click on like a giraffe toy and it'll like do a little animation.
I'll roll credits at some point, but I'm tight to just watch you do nothing for like 4 hours.
Yeah, see, that never really occurred to me with this game. With this game, I think it's totally fine, but I definitely get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I also just grew up with those humongous games and kind of just want more of that, so that's my bias. I want to be able to explore a little bit more. The LucasArts game that feels the most like that, I think, is Sam and Max Hit the Road. You really get a chance to just kind of sink into that world and hit the road.
Yeah. I think it's fine for this one Monkey Island. We discussed this before, how like if you only get like the one Monkey Island every few years, then it'll be more of a detriment. But I don't know. I kind of like that this has a different flow to it than the other Monkey Islands.
It's good to have it. I think that when there's so little room for new games in the series, there will probably only ever be 6 Monkey Island games in our lifetime.
Probably.
I mean, the 6th one's going to come out,
more,
and then that's going to be it.
I'd love to see more after, but yeah, probably.
So the fact that there ever was any kind of experimentation within those 6 is, it's nice to have some sort of variety.
Yeah, I just realized we totally skipped over a big plot element.
Okay.
Morgan Le Fay is killed.
Well, you're right.
She's killed by who we assume is Desinge. We don't see it, but all signs kind of point to him.
Yeah, and she does the classic, Guybrush, let me tell you something. Ugh. And then dies. And I don't think Guybrush understood her either.
Yeah, she just burped in his ear.
Yeah. She's like, I got this piece of gum in my mouth. I don't want it in my mouth when I die. So she dies, and then later Guybrush dies. So maybe her and Guybrush do belong together.
This episode has a pretty big body count. At least compared to other episodes. I don't think anyone else has died in the series in this season up until now. But here we have Morgan, the Pyrite Parrot, Desinge and Guybrush, and this is a piece of dialogue I don't know if you can miss or not, but we find out Nipperkin from the first episode died. That's a lot.
Yeah. I forgot about Nipperkin. But he did, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, they say he burned up in the fire that destroyed the voodoo lady's house.
That's very antagonistic. I don't know why they did that. Why did they do that to him?
I forget if he shows up in the next episode. Spoilers for the next episode.
Yeah,
but,
so it's spoilers, but it's kind of not. Like, you're given all the tools to very much figure out the fact that the next episode will definitely take place in hell. Or the underworld or afterlife of some degree, but it's like a hell.
Basically.
Yeah, and there's some like semi-coy hinting at it where Elaine is telling people go to hell, and then like, oh well, they will be in hell.
Oh, they will. Don't worry.
So this high body count makes a lot of sense when you consider there needs to be a good amount of characters in the afterlife for the very next episode to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see Guybrush again. We'll see, whoever we're going to see again.
Right.
But isn't this sort of weird that this is not the first time within a very short time period that Telltale's made a game where in the 4th episode they hint at characters going to hell and then the 5th episode takes place in hell?
Yeah, they really like that, huh?
Yeah, and then like going to Trogdor's like cyberspace in episode 5 of Strong Bad is not like a dissimilar vibe. It's not exactly the same, but it's got a kind of similar thing going on there.
Right.
They do like doing that. I wonder what that means. I wonder what that's about.
I think it works fine.
Maybe that's why Wallace and Gromit can only be 4 episodes long, because
we can't have them go to hell. We just can't. We can't do an episode 5.
Yeah, we can't do an episode 5. We can't show Wallace and Gromit in hell.
They have to save Duncan McBiscuit from hell.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder why they did that. Also, Jurassic Park only had 4. They're going to hell.
They're putting some things together.
How much you want to bet on the 5th episode of Minecraft Season 1 taking place in like a hellish volcano place?
I could see that. I can't wait until we go to hell in one of the CSI games.
Oh, that's where I want to go to hell the most.
We see all the people who have died in past cases.
Yeah, I think the only one that I can think of that like has had nothing close to it was Back to the Future. And that's probably what it needed.
That's true, yeah. It really could have stood out that way. Oh man, imagine if we go to hell and we get to meet Marty Party.
Oh my gosh.
Hire us, new Telltale. We know exactly where to take the series.
Imagine in a new adventure game at some point you go to hell and you just meet a character named Marty Party. Can Ubisoft or Telltale or whatever channel was it, NBC, that CSI was on, can they sue you? It's just a guy named Marty Party.
Yeah, you don't have to. I wonder if they would even remember.
I doubt it. I doubt that any of the personnel on that team that would remember are still there.
Yeah, that'd be funny. You make a new game with Marty Party, and then you just have all three parties come and sue you.
Whoa, that's a real Marty Party. Dustin, in the interest of avoiding any more technical errors, would we like to head into our segments?
Yeah, I mean, we already covered what happens. It turns out LeChuck double crosses you and kills you. It turns out he was never nice. Mm-hmm. Oh. And that's the end. Guybrush dies, and LeChuck and Elaine battle it out and fade to black.
Yeah, to be continued in Chapter 5, Rise of the Pirate God.
Yeah, so what's our first segment, Mitchell?
Our first segment is Golden Moment.
Golden Moment? Oh boy, what's your golden moment for this episode?
When Elaine first enters the courtroom, she does such a weird, crawl thing, like a crouching lunge with every step. Because she's all jacked up on the pox. This is nasty goblin mode, Elaine. She comes in, she's just yelling at everyone. She grabs Guybrush and tells him that she's gonna ravage him in the captain's quarter of the ship. She's just no filter, Elaine, having a day about it, having a real wild one, and some great choreography on the character animation there. So that's my golden moment.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good pick. I never would have guessed that. Mine is LeChuck in the jail cell and Guybrush just learning to love this guy.
Yeah.
I love when they're talking to the voodoo lady and then they both start saying the same thing.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't remember what it was. It just the dairy farmer bit? I don't remember exactly what they say. But
I'm not sure I remember, but
I wish I wrote it down. But they say that one of the insults at the same time, and then they just kind of turn to each other and be like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the LeChuck double cross at the end hurt so much. Even when you see it coming, I remembered this all crystal clear what happens. And it's still, I knew it was coming a mile away and it still felt bad. I was like, I like that these two are getting along. I could see human LeChuck and Guybrush being partners in piracy going forward. But it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, what's the thing LeChuck said? He swam 3 days to get here for the trial.
3 whole days nonstop he swam to clear Guybrush.
So do you think he did that?
Probably, but now we know he had ulterior motivations. So.
I think he's lying. I don't think he swam 3 days. I think if he's a bad guy, he didn't do it. I think he's just trying to butter up Guybrush.
I could see that, yeah. They never go into it, but I could totally believe he just made it up to get on Guy. He's like, I did all this for you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, the impracticality of a person being able to swim 3 days is one thing.
Well, it's also LeChuck. I could also buy that he could swim 3 days.
Why?
Because he's LeChuck. He's this big guy.
You think the bigger you are, the better you are at swimming?
Guybrush can hold his breath for 10 minutes. Oh. Why can't LeChuck swim for 3 days?
3 days is just more time than 10 minutes.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So that's your golden moment. What's your potent pickup?
My potent pickup is the hook. It comes in very handy in this episode multiple times. Guybrush just finds out that he can just use it to pick any lock.
Any lock at all.
I wrote down maybe losing his hand was the best thing to ever happen to him.
the thing with this hook is that it breaks all intuition of adventure game logic. You see a locked door or box, you don't even try it. Because you're just going to assume, oh, I can't open a lock. There's a key in a desk that I need to give a brochure to a walrus at some point later on in the game, and then I'll circle back, and then it'll have a mustache that I need to give to a mustache vendor later. And that's like every adventure game. When you see a lock, you know what to do with it, which is wait until you have a key. But now they do it 3 times in this episode. They give you a lock. And then you just remember, oh, I can pick those. I don't need any extra stuff. I can just always do it.
And it fooled me once. There was one, the door in Desinge's lab, I was like, oh, I need to get the key for this. I can't go in there yet. It's locked. And then it hit me later when I opened one of the chests. I was like, oh, I can just do that.
Yeah.
I can just unlock this door with this hook. And it's great. It's very useful.
Nothing is ever locked to a man without hands.
But there was a lot of good choices for potent pickup. I feel like last episode was easy. I think in episode 2 it was a little hard to pick one just because nothing really stood out.
Well, the hooks
but here
wasn't
it was
mine.
Yeah, well, I'm sure because there was a lot you could pick from in this episode. What did you pick?
Well, I picked the cups. At one point,
I like those puzzles.
You're given a shot of some vodka juice, and you get like 6 shots of it, and you keep one of them, but the other 5 you just down at the bar, which is pretty funny. You just see the same animation of him raising a cup to his lips 5 times. And you keep all the cups in your inventory, and there's a lot of wet stuff out today.
Yeah, everything's leaking.
Yeah, there's some manatee oil you can scoop up. There's some like electric battery acid. There's some molten glass. There's some hot wax. There's some dripping carpet grossness.
Now, if I remember right, you don't even need a lot of these. You just have to find the ones you do need.
But you can, you have enough cups to get like all the different liquids of the island. And I just like walking around like, hey, I know that if anyone needs a liquid right now, I've totally got it. I believe the molten glass was a red herring. I believe the
You know, it's one I totally forgot that does come into play. The bacon grease on the dock stops the moths from eating your coat.
Oh, what?
Guybrush mentions, like, oh, I guess my coat smelling like all this stuff in my pocket keeps the moths from wanting to eat it.
Moths want things with bacon grease less?
Yeah, because they like cloth. They don't like bacon grease.
I guess. All right, I didn't know that. So if you don't get the bacon grease one, do you think the moths eat your coat?
Maybe Guybrush just swats them away and he's like, well, I can't get those until this.
Interesting. I'm not convinced.
Maybe that's unrelated, but he does say a line like, wow, I smell so bad from carrying all this shit around.
He says it exactly like that, too.
The classic Guybrush line, I'm carrying all this shit around.
Yeah, so I like those cups. I like just having all the liquids.
Yeah, I remembered these puzzles. I didn't necessarily remember the solution, but that was pretty easy. But it's just fun picking up liquids.
It's fun picking up liquids. Who's your weekly guy?
My weekly guy is W.P. Grindstump.
I thought you'd pick Grindstump.
He kills it in this episode. He's so good how he's so angry as the judge.
By the way. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the judge in the episode, but he's also the bartender at Club 41. And I love that he flips back and forth because as the judge, he's like really mean. He's like, you stupid, better provide some evidence or whatever. And then as the bartender's like, oh yeah, don't worry about all that. Oh, I'm just friendly old Grindstump here.
I like how if you ask him if he's mad that you've escaped the cell, he just goes, we're pirates.
Yeah. Who would we be real pirates if we didn't condone jailbreaks? And also because the winds are blowing in, It's not like you can escape anyway. He says, "What are you gonna do? Skip town?" Oh,
My weekly guy is Elaine.
Elaine is also a great choice.
Elaine is a killer in this episode. Elaine's great.
Agreed.
Pox Elaine is one of my favorite transformations that we've seen in these episodes so far.
Yeah, even so they were making this game around the same time as the remake of 1, and I feel like even in both of the remakes she doesn't go as far as she does here. Like she does a good job in them, but her lines are very like straightforward and matter of fact. Here she's allowed to just go bananas crazy.
Yeah, she's cuckoo banana. And and really horny and really jealous and really angry, and the way that all those things comes out could be annoying. I could imagine a version of myself that is very annoyed, because I'm often annoyed when characters in these Telltale games just get like mad at you for reasons that I don't feel like I, the player, deserve.
Yeah, well, at least you have a reason for it now with the pox.
Sure. Well, yeah, but even then, I'd be like, come on. You can, if you can think it through, then you can think it through.
Yeah, but the point is, she's not really in a state to think it through.
True, but even then, I just really like the presentation on how she's going about doing these things, because at a certain point, she's just like, hey, whether it's your fault or not, I don't even care. I'm gonna go find some treasure.
I'm out of here.
I am a pirate. We will be treasure finding any old time. So
yeah, I really like this take on Elaine, especially because in every other Monkey Island game, she is the one who's composed and has a plan, and it is. I don't want to. She's more or less the hero, and you're playing as someone who's trying to be the hero, but she's usually the one who's like knows what's going on and has her wits about her. But here she's crazy. She's out of her mind, and you got to step up for once.
So she's my weekly guy in this episode by quite a bit. She does a good performance, and that's it. That's all we got. We often do just a little bit as a bit of a treat, talk about some of our favorite lines. Dustin, you got anything real special you want to share?
I actually didn't have that many in this episode, which is, I don't want to say it was bad. It was still funny, but like I was more interested in the actual story happening than like individual lines of dialogue. But there's some good ones. Like I love the Guybrush figure that Stan is selling, and it says really knockoff Guybrush phrases.
Give me one of them.
It is I, Guybrush Threepwood, the mighty pirate.
Yeah, he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger for some reason.
Yeah, he says, that is the second biggest monkey head I have ever observed. Like, just slightly off. There's... Oh, I just had one. I'm looking at my list.
I got one. When Elaine is summoned, like there's a voodoo summon, so she has to go to court. She'll look at the letter for like a second. She'll be like, "Good for nothing words getting in the way of my killing." She's like,
"That's great."
She's just looking at the words on the page, and she's like, "I could read these, but I'm just mad that there's words.
I'm sick of these words." That's great. I found the other one of mine. So in this episode, Guybrush in Club 41 has to taste a pepper.
Right.
It's the Fugu Jalokia Challenge. And so Guybrush says to Grindstump, "I'd like to take the challenge." And Grindstump says, "I thought you looked like a man of gastrological adventure."
It's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. I like framing it as an adventure.
I like when Hardtack... So when Hardtack admits that he made up the case, the judge makes him wear the wig of foppery as penance. And it's just like this little girl's wig, like a blonde Goldilocks kind of thing. And Hardtack puts it on and he goes, "Oh, it's delightful." And just walks away with the wig, and he's wearing it for the rest of the episode.
This is nice.
Yeah, I like that he likes it. It's nice.
Oh my god, speaking of hardtack, you know what's something I totally forgot?
Hmm.
So, after, when you're stuck in your jail cell, you ask, he's gonna go give the summons to Elaine, but she beats the shit out of him, and she, like, bangs him up pretty good. She, like, messes up his jaw. He says he's gonna go to Desinge about it. Do you think he just comes out without a jaw?
Oof. Well,
Poor guy.
hopefully, I believe right after that, if you go up to the docks, you see Desinge running into the jungle. So I'm hoping that he didn't get a chance.
Yeah, for hardtack's sake,
Yeah.
let's pray.
I don't want him to be missing half of the mouth.
He does all his talking with that. I have one last one that made me laugh.
Sure.
So it's when you're in court. I forget which course it is or case it is, but Guybrush presents his evidence and like, oh no, he's saying how he brought back El Sponja Grande to suck up the pox. And, like, you hear some murmurs in the crowd. You hear, like, that doesn't sound so bad. Oh, that could be okay. And then you just hear, feed him to the jungle beast!
Yeah.
They're not all on the same page.
Yeah, the crowd's very divided, which is fun, because whenever you have a rabble-rousing crowd in one of these things, it's like they're all chanting for you to be either let free or killed. But in this case, like, they really do... They're just people. They have a lot of different thoughts. And they only know how to express themselves by yelling, but they're not going to yell the same stuff.
Yeah. One last thing. This is just real fast, not really a line. Guybrush calls Desinge a few different names. One of them is De La Soul.
Yeah, that's good.
And one of them's De Cringe. I like that one.
Before its time.
That one would be good on... Yeah. If they were on, like, pirate Twitter, they would say that.
Not a line, but something that was said, and it's only not a line because I didn't write it down. Not like a comedy bit, but when Morgan is at the bar, she's real sad. She feels that, accurately so, she's let Guybrush down. She's found her hero. She might have even been like falling in love with him as they were playing house inside the manatee.
Right.
And then she just had to turn him in, and now Guybrush might hate her. So she's expressio depressio at the bar. And she's going through those hot volcano shots. And Guybrush asked her, aren't those like really hot? Don't they hurt really, really badly? And Morgan goes, just the first one hurts, and then you don't feel anything.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it definitely sells her mood.
Yeah,
some good mood writing in this episode.
I think that's my favorite part of this whole season, is just how well they're able to... We already talked about it, but I do really appreciate how they're able to balance character moments like that in a way you've never really seen in Monkey Island before.
Yeah. Mike Stemmel, I've noticed, is like that guy. He comes in and he does that. And this is
really?
This is a Mike Stemmel directed and written episode.
Thanks, Mike Stemmel.
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff when Mike Stemmel comes in the room. I think I'm at least maybe identifying a very loose theme across very different episodes that he's been credited with, but it could have been anyone at Telltale. I could have been any writer, any person.
Right. Well, thanks anyway.
That's been our episode. Tune in next week when we finally finish. Finally. I feel like we've been doing this for like 2 days. Tales of Monkey Island with episode 5, Rise of the Pirate God. Who do you think the pirate god is?
Gosh, I couldn't possibly say. I think it's Grindstump.
I hope it's Grindstump.
He's got a little more going on than you give him credit for.
And until next time, we'll see ya.
Goodbye.